32,000 plays, $49. A working musician posted his royalty statement online. One song, 3 months, 32,000 streams. It paid him less than $50. That's not the surprising part. Everyone already knows the streaming math is broken. The surprising part came when we read everything. Every answer we could find to one question. How do you actually make it as a musician? Hundreds of answers. And partway through, we realized we weren't reading one conversation. We were reading two. In one room, people asking how to get in. In the other, people who were already inside. And there was one word that filled the first room and almost never appeared in the second. Talent. We'll come back to that. Start with the people asking. They arrive at every age, 14, 16, 18, 44, 58. A teenager who has wanted to sing on a stage since she was 8 years old. A man who has played guitar badly for 20 years and finally wants to know whether it is too late. Completely different lives, almost identical questions. Am I talented enough? Am I too old? What equipment do I need? How do I get discovered? 4 questions, over and over, in nearly every thread we read. And notice what they all have underneath. Every one of them is a question about permission. They are asking strangers on the internet to tell them whether they are allowed. Now the other room, the people who described in detail how they actually pay rent with music, not famous, not signed, nobody you have heard of. Just people whose bills get covered by playing, teaching, recording, mixing, and almost none of them answered the question that was being asked. Here is the first thing they said instead. Barely a handful of them had a single source of income. The rest listed 3, 5, 8. Gigging, teaching, session work, mixing other people's records, writing music for adverts, running live sound, selling merch, scoring films nobody will ever see. One of them wrote out 7 separate income streams, then apologized for the ones he had forgotten. Nobody in that room makes a living from music. They make a living from 8 small pieces of music, stacked on top of each other, and the piece named more often than any other. Teaching. It surfaced in nearly every serious answer we read. The most boring possible advice. Winning by a landslide. The second pattern is stranger. Ask working musicians what actually got them hired, and most of them stop talking about music altogether. Show up on time. Know the material before you walk in the door. Be someone people actually want in the room for 6 weeks. One of them said it flatly. The people who make a living are not the best players. They are not the best writers either. They are the ones who are reliable, who are easy to work with, who turn up, warmed up, and ready. Being good is the entry fee. It is not the job. And then there is the thing that nobody starting out wants to hear. Ipentitent walk. Performance money is seasonal, and it is erratic, so most of them keep something steadier running underneath it. A second income. A day job. Savings. Not a failure to commit, the thing that lets them say yes to the right gig and no to the wrong one. But the single most endorsed answer in everything we read was not advice at all. It was a constraint. A hired gun bassist laid it out like this. At any gig, 3 things are on the table: the music you are playing, the people you are playing it with, and the money. You get 2 of them, never 3. Pleased with the antichoriches. Play what you love, with people you love, and you will not get paid. Take the money, keep the good company, and you will spend the night playing songs you hate. Hundreds of musicians read that and agreed. It became the highest rated answer in the largest thread we found, which means the internet's most popular answer to "How do you make it?" is not a strategy at all. It is a warning about what you will have to give up. And then there was the reply that stopped us cold. A mix engineer explaining how he made it. He opened with this: No debt, no student loans, savings in the bank, overhead kept low. He did not get around to mentioning music until the second half of the paragraph. Tingen. I lot makted tight style. The thing that let him survive as an artist was not his artistry. It was that he had made himself cheap to keep alive. Almost everyone in that room admitted luck. Nobody had asked them to. The composer whose career began because a filmmaker happened to post in the right place on the right day. The guitarist who can trace everything back to one conversation at one party. They all told the same version of it. Luck arrives. And it only counts if you already had something ready to hand over. So come back to the word. Talent filled the first room. In the second, it barely appeared. And when it did, it was usually to say that it does not matter as much as you think. The people asking wanted to know if they were good enough. The people who had already done it kept answering a question nobody had asked. Not, are you good enough? But, what are you willing to live like? Because read what making it actually means to the people who made it. And the whole thing tilts. I'm Killian, a man who has lived out of a van for 20 years, selling merch at the back of small rooms, says he is living the dream. He goes where he wants. He makes music every day. A guitarist playing 3 nights a week says the entire prize, the whole win, is that he never has to sit in an office again. Neither of them is rich. Both of them believe they won. I'm Killian Tenoist. The 2 rooms were never arguing with each other. They were using the same words to mean 2 different things. One room means arrival. The other means a life you can stand, built out of small, unglamorous pieces, none of them guaranteed. So go back to the receipt we opened with. 32,000 plays. $49. The same track sold 593 copies directly. That paid him $195. 600 people who actually wanted it were worth 4 times more than 32,000 who let it play. I'm first offered in Notebook surprised it. The man who posted it was not complaining. He was doing the arithmetic out loud for anyone who wanted to hear it, because he had already worked out the thing that everyone in that second room has worked out. The music does not pay. Something standing next to the music pays. The teaching, the mixing, the wedding in a function room on a Saturday, the ordinary job that buys you the right to say no, and you spend the rest of your life protecting the part that never pays at all. My Killian and Setand Kenchilsis. That is what the people who made it have been trying to tell you. Not whether you are good enough, only what it is going to cost. So, what did yours cost? Tell us. We'll count. And notice what nobody said. In everything we read, not one person told anyone to stop. Every time the words "give up" appeared, they appeared with the word "don't" in front of them. One man had played in bands for 24 years. He never once made a living at it. He said he had loved every minute. They were not warning you off. They were telling you the price, because they had already decided it was worth paying. That is what 10,000 strangers sound like, when you stop reading them one at a time and start counting them. So if you have played this game, if you made rent from music, or tried to and stopped, tell us what it cost you. We read every one. And if you want to know what the next 10,000 say, subscribe. We're already counting.